Hello, and welcome to Modeller's Monday Roundup, Episode 6.
Hi guys, so today instead of the railway decided to I'm going to stick some plastic together. It's taken me a while to feel the desire to do this. I used to build a lot of plastic kits, but for the last year and a half at least I have not really wanted to do it, but I found this lovely little kit, one of which I've built previously, the Academy F18. This is the E version. In 70-second scale. They really are lovely little kits, possibly the best 70-second scale F18 you can pick up, and this I know I will finish. But anyway, up to now we've concentrated on just attaching the 2 aileron hinges, and if you can see, we've attached the full inner wing area, which includes the forward strakes, which are extended quite large on an F18E. So I'm going to try and bring you regular updates of this one. I've just got these 2 pieces in, as I say. We had a little bit of glue seep out. It's not too obvious on here, but it seeped out around the hinge there, but straight off, so a bit of a clean up and it will be good. We also got a little bit of a run just on this, I'll show you, just on top of the wing strake there, but again no problem as long as I leave it to dry. And a quick rub down and all will be good. The cements I use, liquid cement, Tamier's liquid cement. It's nice and easy to use, just capillary action, in fact takes it around the joint, so as long as you're careful, which obviously I wasn't that careful this morning, but it is early here in Vancouver. It is only 6:17, but anyway, there you go. So I will be going through this with you, and you know, I clean up the parts, getting the fits correct, and the cements and the filler. There's a little filler. One of the bugbears of aircraft is so many contours, complex shapes. They're invariable and need filler somewhere, and it's not my favourite pastime is filling and rubbing, and I usually drop back on the railway. But this one, you know, we will do. We'll keep going. Instructions, very nice, very straightforward instructions. The next stage for me on this one is going to be the interior of the rear fuselage there, where the engines go, which is that. Nice colour charts. Can do a couple of versions of this. Decal sheets are excellent, always excellent. And so that's all on side for now. BFA 143 puking dogs. Quite an interesting story actually. When they nicknamed themselves the puking dogs, a lot of the American public actually complained and kicked off about it. So they were ordered by the Pentagon to stop using the nickname the puking dogs, but of course invariably, as with these things, they eventually sank back to it and it became officially accepted. But anyway, a US Navy squadron, VF 143, it's usually VFA, but anyway, in the US Navy, VFA is normally denotes a US Navy attack squadron. Another F-18 I built the same, but is VMFA, which is a US Marine Corps attack squadron. The US Marines use the F-18. I'm very good with it there too. So anyway, that's enough boring for now. We'll get on with some more building. Right, so a little bit more on the F-18. Last night I couldn't resist the opportunity to do a little more, so I have messed around a bit, and we have installed the air intakes. The fans and blades were painted, and if you were looking at it from where I am, you would be able to just about see them. The joints along here were pretty reasonable. It just took a smattering of filler, nothing much, and same again. I'm not sure if it's visible in this light, but there is a small amount just on the seams here where the joints are. But again, the Academy F18 is a lovely little kit, very good fit, and so not a lot of filler. I am gonna this morning, we need to get in the light, it's not brilliant, but these areas here, especially you can see this one just needs a little smoothing down, so I'm going to do that. I've just begun to just treat a little ridge which has crept up just there where the joint is, but again just to smooth down, and eventually we get a coat of primer on the whole thing, and that's when we really see what the joints look like, and then a little bit of remedial work on that. But I also had to spray black, so I sprayed the afterburner cans ready, the instrument panel ready. That needs to have a gloss on it so that we can do the decals, and the same with the cockpit interior, which is given a coat of grey. Not easy to see really in this scale, but it will need again some more varnish on, so it takes the decals. There's the ejector seat, nothing fancy. I often put a resin seat in these things, but for this one, out of the box, and while I was doing it, the cockpit combing as well, which sits over in front of the pilot, over the top of the control console. So those are the things I did last night, and I am just very fine, wet and dry, a little bit of water on, and we're just taking this down here. The feeling this might still show after the primer coat, but maybe not. I might be lucky. So, other than that, as I say, the next area then will be this area, which will sit in there roughly, and that will carry the cockpit to be seen through there. So if I'm happy with the look of that for now, we're going to treat this area here. I don't worry too much about it because it's not on shore, it's not built for competition. We never build an aircraft for competition. It's the standards are far too aerial for me, much better with armour. But recently I have had no real interest in armour, but we'll just make this look a little smoother. As we said before, aircraft, nice flowing lines mainly, especially modern jets, and it does take a lot of work. All in quick tidy up. One thing I hate about aircraft is this filling and rubbing, as I've already said. Not perfect, but it's a lot better, and it will suffice for me. I'm not a rivet counter, but I do like it to look right. So what we need to do it now is a little bit of gloss varnish. My expensive mixing tool, as always. Just a little drop in there. A cup of tea. I can't survive without that. And we're just going to gloss varnish these so the decals will sit. Decals don't adhere to a matte surface very well. Air gets trapped underneath, so you tend to get air bubbles and slightly raised areas. A little bit of this in between the panels and down the bottom there will actually be in the cockpit grey, but that can be touched in afterwards. For now, just want to make sure that the decals have something to adhere to. Oh, this is. See, she's a little bit shiny now. Shiny, shiny, shiny. And we also have the instruments that will sit alongside there. This is a two-seat cockpit that they've given us here, because some are single seat, the B's, the D's, and the F's are 2 seats. So the kit contains one tub. You just get a fairing on the top of the aircraft that covers up the rear seat area. Makes sense from a production point of view for the kit manufacturers. And okay, so that's a bit glossy too. Not that you can see, but trust me, it is. Give Mr. Brush a clean. I'll try and look after the brushes. Money, money, money. And we'll wipe this out of here. We don't actually need this now. The varnish, I'm probably going to let that set until probably tomorrow morning. And we'll attach the decals. And the other parts go to one side. We're going to trim this off now. Trim the stalk off. Wherever possible, I always try and leave a little bit of the kit sprue on while I paint it, if it's necessary. Gives you something to hold. If not, it's always possible to attach a little bit of wire or plastic in an area down the bottom there, somewhere like that, though it doesn't show. And we have 2 pieces. If I can find them on my scribble wall, not here. So one is the actual joystick, which, contrary to what I used to think, is not all black at all. So very careful snip off of that, because some of these small parts, certainly on this one, they don't leave you very much to get at. I had to remove the afterburner cans. I had to start with a razor saw, a very small razor saw, to separate them and then trim down. So I had to do that last night. We need the seat itself, the seat cushion, we'll call it, which are these things here, of which we only need one. Again, I'm going to cut this away, but I'll cut it from the top. I want to leave the bottom on for now, that one, so that I have something to grip. I'm going to give it a quick blast with a primer, and then it'll be brush painted. It's usually an olive drab or that sort of thing, that colour. So what we do back up that way, so that we have like so. We need all these little cheap clips, cheap paper clips, all come in handy for holding these things when we spray. So I'm going to steal that one. You can see even that one, I just need that trimming up and a little bit of a clean up, a dab of black paint, and she's good to go. And I'm going to borrow this and get it to grip. I'm not happy with that, let's try that way. That's better, like so. And I'm going to be back in 1 sec. And here we are. Now a coat of primer, which I'm going to leave to dry, go hard. Sometimes you have to be patient and you leave these things and come back to them a day later, or your next session. It's no point rushing it. And she's going to be, let's see what they tell us, an olive drab, something like that should be. Let's have a look. And olive drab, most certainly. And 14. Khaki, tell us khaki, which I do have in my paint stack, so this I'm going to get out. As we said before, Tamiya paints are not the easiest to paint with, and you need to thin them definitely. Let's see. The paint instructions are small there, but they'll give you a list of the colours, the numbers, and the numbers across a few of the different paint manufacturers, which is really useful. Some companies, Revell for instance, tend to give just Revell paints. If they haven't got the colour, they'll tell you to start doing mixing. Who wants to do that if they can help it? Certainly not me. And for the khaki and what I'm using, they don't give Tamiya here unfortunately, but see if I've got it in testers. It should be 4711. So check my small testers. Tin. And what did we say? 4711. These colours don't look anything like when they're second. You have to give them a good shake. Lots of 47 numbers, but not what I'm looking for yet. It's best not to get too hung up on this either. You can get a pretty similar colour, that's fine. Okay, I don't have any testers, but I know I have a khaki in Tamiya. Cup of tea again. Khaki drab in Tamiya paint. So this is what we'll use, but not yet. The funny thing about paint is it dries, especially acrylic dries. You can touch it sometimes fairly soon afterwards. Best not to, but you can. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't harden. It takes a lot longer for it to actually harden. So if you should put another coat of the same paint on the top of it, or even a different one, it will just remove it. The chemicals will soften it and remove it. So you need to let it harden, and 24 hours is best for that. In my experience anyway. Okay, so Stevie will get bored now if he has nothing else to do, so let's see what else we can do. We could actually look at the decals ready for the instruments. So we open the seal packet with the decal sheet in. I always try and keep the decals in the clear plastic they came in. And bear in mind, decals do dry out over time if they're not kept sealed. And this little corner here, see we have the decals on the little green squares, which will be the actual displays. We have digital displays in these super duper modern fighters. Just make sure when you cut it out, you cut out the numbers to correspond as well. Always a good idea. They're quite small in 72nd. My aircraft I always used to build were 48 scale, which I always found was an ideal size. Not so ideal for the space in the house or relations with the wife. Men's toys. Okay, so this will be fine till tomorrow, and she's ready. The putty I use, the plastic filler, right now I'm using this acrylic plastic putty from Village, or not necessarily the best I've used, but it's pretty good. I've used a few different ones in my time. Not convinced whether I'd reuse this once it's run out, but who knows. I've had enough success with it. It's just you really need to let it harden off for a few minutes at least before you can smooth it a little bit with a wet cotton swab. The last one I was using, I can't remember the name of it now, dried fairly quickly, so you did not have to wait too long before you smoothed it down. If you could smooth it down with a damp cotton swab, makes life a lot easier for the rubbing down process afterwards, and saves you from damaging some of the detail. So it takes your choice. And so let's see what Mr. Academy will let us do next. So I was saying about following the instructions in deviating. Academy tell you as you move along to start installing undercarriage legs, etc. No, never do that. They get damaged. Same with the aerials too. If possible, you leave those off. And so what I tend to end up with then is a complete airframe without undercarriage. I would leave the afterburner cans off because I can paint them and get the finish on them, then attach them afterwards. But, aerials, I would probably put the main antenna that goes there in. Anything really silly is best left off, and then what you do then is you paint, so you have a whole airframe painted, all air pushed up. You use masking tape as well at times, and then we treat the undercarriage as a separate kit. I do. After which, then I treat the ordnance as a separate kit. So wing pylons will be attached. The ordnance themselves, I said, just another model. I break it up into different models. Then they all come together. So we deviated there. Blah 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 blah. There's not a great deal more actually we can do now to let some of that paint etc. dry, and then we come back to it. So I guess we'll probably leave it at that point, and I'm going to play trains for 15 minutes, yeah, before I get ready for work. See you later, bye. Okay, final update for this week. Quite a bit of progress made on the Academy F18. I'm going to try and show you some of the work done. As you can see, she's pretty complete now. A few little bits of joints to deal with yet, especially the one there. There we go, underneath there. That will be dealt with next. In fact, some other slight areas around the nose, as you can see, the white filler. So a little bit of work done there. Some of the kit's fault, some my unfistedness fault. Make out there, okay. Can't really see how well those joints have been dealt with until we get a primer coat on. And cockpit, again, cockpit is fairly complete now. The seat is in. Normally I would not use the seat this early because I need to blank off the cockpit when I come to spray. But anyway, the click nature of this kit meant that every time I tried to fit a piece it went in. It tended to click in, it was a good fit, so I left it at that. You see a little more work around the fairing, the rear of the cockpit. This is because you have the choice of single seat or two seat variants, so you get two choices of these. Again, that's had a little bit of work there. It's going to need a touch more filler in there, I've got to say. But all in all, engine interiors, rear stabilizers, pylons, weapons pylons. They tend to look a little untidy at this stage because you have little bits of rubbing down and filler to show. I've been working on the weapons as well. So here we have these, I guess, are the AIM-9s. A slight falling down point here for Academy, and that is sink marks there and there. So again, a drop of filler in those and a very gentle rub down, and hopefully all will be good. And here we have a couple of bombs just to give people a headache, followed by 3 long range fuel tanks, 2 that will sit in the wing on wing pylons, and 1 which is a centre pylon. 1 is extra. I have yet to put the other together, which will be this one. But other than that, my favourite stage again, some more filling and rubbing. As you can see, all these joint lines have to be dealt with. So, hey ho, all the fun of building aircraft. I don't have much else to show you on that really. I did a nice job on a part that I realised afterwards I didn't need because it's a single seat. But there you go. What the hell. Okay, so some more work tomorrow. Quite a bit of work tomorrow. Might even get around to putting the primer coat on them, but I'm going to deal with that joint line again. Yeah, they always look worse in this state because they're all different colours and different shades, as you can see on the front there where things have been rubbed down. So it's good to get a primer coat on and then see how things look again after that. There's a little bit more tidying up. Okay, so that's it for this week. Enjoy.
Okay, with the Spitfire now completed, we will then move on to the next part out of this, which is the Eurofighter Typhoon. Once both planes are then completed, we will then work on to the actual diorama base. However, as you can see, this is the final and completed Spitfire, and now moving on to the Eurofighter Typhoon. Okay, so all the parts for the Eurofighter Typhoon on their styrene sprues have now been washed and given a coat of primer using Halford's Auto Primer White, and now we are ready to start the build. Okay, so although the instructions tell us that we are still with the pilot first, as we are going to display the aircraft grounded, like we have done with the Spitfire, the pilot part is missed, and we're going to start with the cockpit seat, which will be given a coating of black using Humbrol number 33. Also to be painted up, again using Humbrol 33 black, are this part here, which is the base for the controls and the displays, and also this small part here, which is the actual control knob. This part here, as you can see, this also requires painting at this stage, and for this it will be painted in Humbrol Grey number 165. Okay, so painting on the parts has been picked out with our specialist little pointer. They've all been completed. And now we've actually got some decals to apply. A decal has got to be fitted on there, which will highlight out the controls. And further controls will be then placed either side of this part. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so with the decals applied where necessary, we now start putting this all together. Firstly, if we go to the control panel here, we've also got the gear lever, which has to be glued into place. And that is what we do first. So with the pilot's area with the seat and control panels all completed, we now move on to the foreplane wings, of which involve these two parts here, as well as these two parts here, both of which are going to be painted a grey using Humbrol 167. Okay, so this part, which is the lower half of the main body, has all been painted up and ready, but we're going to put that to one side for some time, and we're going to work on the other half, the top half, which again, although most of it will be painted the Humbrol grey using Humbrol 167, however there are two areas of which aren't being painted in this colour. This part here, the raised part around the front, that's going to be Humbrol 33 black, and this area here will be white, and we use Humbrol 130 for that. And we'll actually do those two parts before we do the all over grey. Now with the second half of the fuselage fully painted up, it's taken a total of 3 coats of this grey, as well as the white and then 2 coats of the black. We can put this to one side as we go back to the bottom half of the fuselage, and in this crevice here, the instructions tell us that we need to add some liquid gravity, a weight of 5 grams, and we are going to use a Deluxe Materials liquid gravity. So progress has very much gone apace. Last time obviously you saw us getting ready to apply 5 grams of ballast weight. The ballast weight has actually gone in this part here. So since the ballast weight was put in, we've then obviously put in the front 4 planes there, as well as the cockpit. Due to major human error from my own part with adding the ballast weight, I didn't allow enough space to allow the cockpit to fit in correctly, and the two halves to then match together. So I had to do a lot of modification work, a lot of filing, a lot of sanding to eventually get these two to match up. Once they were then matched up and glued together, very much had to then glue them, hold them tight, then apply quite a fair amount of model filler, and then give it a good paint. Overall though, the ballast was exactly what it said it was on the tin. It does provide a good weight at the front, very good useful item, something that I will certainly use again in the future. Okay, so next we're going to look at working on the rudders, or the rudder. The rudder is actually made up of 2 parts, of which will be put together. Before obviously getting these put together, they will be given a paint using Humbrol 167 grey. Generally speaking, they do take approximately 3 coats to give it a good coat, because the first coat is just a very light coating. So this is the first part of the rudder that we start on. So the 2 parts of which make up the rudder have now had their first coat of paint, and in following this they've been sanded down using very fine sandpaper. We've actually used a auto body filler sandpaper with a 3000 grit, so it's very fine. That's the sandpaper there. So now it's all been sanded down, we will then give it a second coat. After the second coat, further work had to be done, as it still wasn't quite right. So yet again it was sanded down using the very fine sandpaper as mentioned previously, and now given a third coat as could be seen here. With the completion of this third coat, the rudder's halves will then be placed together and matched together before being attached to the plane itself. Okay, so the two halves of the rudder were then glued together, and we've now successfully installed them into the plane. And it is at this point that we bring a close to all the procedures of the updates for this episode anyway, with many more updates for this plane, the Eurofighter Typhoon, from the Airfits Then and Now project coming up in a future episode.